Hello and welcome to this masterclass. And today, right here and right now, whether you're watching or listening or reading, it's all about big money stages most speakers still ignore. Now, what's a big money stage? Well, a big money stage is where I am right now. Currently, at the time of this recording, if you're watching the replay, which most people do, the majority of people do watch the replay because there's a lot more time to watch the replay than watching it live. But if you do watch live, we know because we have the chat going down the right-hand side if you're on Facebook Live. If you're reading this because this training is repurposed, or if you're listening to this because it's also an audio, then I wanted to welcome you. My name is Alex Mondosian, and I've been doing this 25 years, teaching from the virtual stage. Now, there are 5 big money stages that are not virtual, that help grow your business. And many people don't consider themselves a speaker, even though they speak every single day. Many people in business don't consider themselves a professional speaker, even though they get paid to speak, just not on the stage. And then many people don't want to speak on stage because they think that it takes a certain level of effort or ability or skill set that they don't have. And all of those are myths. If you choose to believe them, they're truths, of course. But I was on a big money stage with my good friend Jack Canfield, and I've been on stage with him since 2006. Now, I met him first doing a Master of Ceremonies work with his former partner, Mark Victor Hansen. They co-wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, and together they probably have sold over 1 billion books when all is said and done, because there's all these Chicken Soup titles, over 200 of them. Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, Chicken Soup for the African-American Soul, Chicken Soup for the Female Soul, Chicken Soup for the Firefighter Soul. I mean, it goes on and on. But the original Chicken Soup for the Soul, they got on stage after the book was in the hands of people, and they went to 144 publishers. They all said no. That's called a gross. 144 is a gross, it's called. I learned that in my fulfillment days. And on the 145th, they found a publisher. And they eventually sold the company for over 6 was on stage. Yes, the book was successful, but it was on stage. So Jack now has One Day to Greatness events where he goes city to city to city. I happen to be in Denver, Colorado right now. That's why I have this background versus the normal background in my office, which is in San Francisco Bay Area in San Rafael, California, just north of the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, I travel with him to act as his MC. I get paid. This room is paid. My Ubers are paid. My flight is paid. The food is paid for. Everything is paid for. It's less expensive for me to be an MC than actually to live at home. Plus, I get paid for the day. I don't get paid a lot of money, but it's nice to get paid, and that's what I call the 6th stage. There are 5 more that I'm going to talk to you about. And I was taught this by my good friend Pete Vargas. He runs a company called Advance Your Reach. And together we came up with a name, 1 Hour Launch. There are 2-week launches. There are 1-week launches. There are 2-day launches, online and offline. Steve Jobs used to have these big stage launches where he launched the iPod or one of the tablets, you know, like the iPad or the iPhone, or they launched the iWatch. Those were all launches. How about a 1-hour launch? That's where after 1 hour, you've launched and gotten your message from your heart to someone else's. You got paid. You got to get leads from the room. You got mobile numbers, email addresses, and your life changes speaking from the stage. Now, if you don't know what a stage is a platform where you stand on. Usually, it's a little bit elevated, and people are watching you. Now, sometimes they get you on camera. Sometimes it involves a PowerPoint. Sometimes there are flip charts where you're writing with different color pens, only the pens are a lot fatter, you know, they're a lot bigger. And then many times you have something like this, which is a conductor stand. I like using a conductor stand because people can see through it, and you know, I feel more attached to the audience. If you go for the big fat big flip chart paper, then these are the pens that you use. I carry them with me everywhere I go. And whether you want to do that or not to grow your business, it's a fact that the stage is the fastest, easiest, and most economical way to grow your business. And there's not only one stage, there are many stages, and there are more stages than you think there are. So what is a stage? It's a platform for you to serve others through a talk and a speech, even if you think you're not good at speaking publicly, and you get to grow your business at the fast time. I think it's the fastest way to accelerate the growth of your business. It's definitely the most reliable way to get someone's attention. Someone lands on your website, maybe 1 out of 100 will actually opt in if they're complete strangers. Someone comes to a stage presentation, 2 out of 10 will buy something from you, and 5 out of 10 will be willing to give you their mobile number or email address to learn more from you if you didn't sell anything from the stage. So here's the question. Why is a stage a growth strategy? Well, it's a growth strategy because people don't look at it as a growth strategy. If you went on stage once a month, you would grow your business a lot faster than you did online. With online, you need funnels. With online, you need teams. With online, you need advertising. You know, your money saves you time, right? Money buys time for you, and that's with an ad, whether it's a Google AdWord or a Facebook ad, or if it's a LinkedIn or YouTube ad. Doesn't matter. What matters most is that money is buying that, and many times another type of stage is you're buying the platform, so you may pay for the stage so that whatever you sell from that stage you get to keep. That's another type of stage. We'll get to the 5 big money stages in a moment. But the question is, how can you get on stage quickly? Well, that answer you can get if you simply go to a very special web page that my good friend Pete Vargas has put together. It's not going to cost you anything at this moment. If you continue education with him, it will be your best investment you make all year round, but it's not going to cost you anything to go to marketingonline.com/stage guide, and you will get a stage guide there. Don't do it now. Just write that down. Let me give it to you again. Okay, you can put it in the chat, marketingonline.com/stage guide. You can pass that around as well. And what happens there is you'll find out how to get on stages quickly, okay? That's what Pete will teach you. He's my dear friend. I'll call him a friend as long as I'm breathing. But for the purposes of this masterclass, whether you're reading, listening, or watching it, the 5 big money stages that you can utilize as a growth strategy, right? 5 different types of stages. The first is speak to sell. So this could be a multi-speaker event, or it could be an event where you were brought on as a keynote and you're selling from that stage. Not every stage is that way, but that's the majority of stages I've been on. And I'm told that's the most difficult stage to be on because many people don't like the sell from stage. You got 90 minutes, you got to build rapport. It's an art form, it's a sales presentation. You got to be good at it. So speak to sell is the first kind. Now the second type is what a lot of the National Speakers Association speakers do, paid to speak. I have a good friend, Joel Weldon. He gets paid to speak. He's never given the same speech twice, kind of like me, but he's given more of them. He's done them over 60 years, okay? I think he's been speaking for 50 years. He's been married nearly 60 years. And speak to sell and paid to speak are 2 different types. Paid to speak is you don't sell something. You're hired for 1 hour, typically, and you're a keynote speaker. And that requires a different kind of talk. You could do it with a corporation, a trade association. There's all kinds of stages. You don't even realize how many trade organizations and associations are in your backyard, in your city, happening all the time. That's what the stage guide is all about. And then a free talk. If you're hired and you're in front of some very important eyeballs and some very important people, let's say CEOs, a TED Talk is a free talk. You know, TED.com. It's a free talk, but you get in front of millions of people like Simon Sinek, who've gotten in front of millions of people because of his talk that went viral on video. So a free talk and a free stage is the third. The fourth is pay to play. And this is the paid stage that my good friend Pete Vargas talks about. Pay to play means you're paying to be on that stage in order to play, in order to be there, right? And then having your own event. Okay, now Jack Canfield had his own event, and I was the 6th. I was on the 6th stage, which I call the 6th stage, which I'm going to be doing a special training for anyone who continues education with Pete Vargas. Now, the education with Pete Vargas, I don't know how much it's going to be. It's somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 US dollars. It's worth every penny. It's an investment, and it'll be the best investment you make all year to grow your business, because unlike other investments like mortgage or your utilities or your payroll or your advertising, this is continuing education that will stay with you, and it is a price you pay once. It's not a cost that you have forever. You have a cost of not growing your business. So it doesn't cost $1,000 to $2,000. That's the price you pay once, and it sticks with you forever. And hopefully you teach others in your company so you can duplicate yourself like a cookie cutter. But that's not available at the time of this recording. If you're watching the replay, maybe there's a link you see on this page and you can click it. Most likely the shopping cart would have been closed. But I'm going to teach a very special bonus training for people who stay with Pete for over 30 days. That's the refund period. You have a 100% refund guarantee. But people who decide to continue on the 31st day, you'll get an alert from me, and I'm going to teach you how to get on the 6th stage, where you get paid as a master of ceremonies for doing about an hour's worth of work throughout the day. You're there the whole time, but you're in introducing other speakers or the main speaker, like I did with Jack Canfield and One Day to Greatness. Not only is he paying me, paying my travel, paying my Ubers, paying my hotel, paying for the food, and he's paying for me to help him manage the energy and sell his cruise, his train-the-trainer program, his Breakthrough to Success program, and he always sells out of all the books and vision boards in the back of the room. But I'm also there as moral support during the VIP lunch, and I get known by lots and lots of people, 500 to 600 at a time, and I'm getting paid. It's like going to heaven without dying. But how did I get there? I'm going to teach you how to do that. I've done that also with companies like Agora Publishing. I've been the master of ceremonies for them when they had the Early to Rise events. 5 Days in July comes to mind. I was a master of ceremonies. I did that with Mary Ellen Tribby years and years ago. I used to be a master of ceremonies for Mark Victor Hansen, which is how I met Jack Canfield, because they used to be partners with the Chicken Soup for the Soul series of books, and they sold that company for over $60 million. I've been a master of ceremonies at T. Harv Eker events. I've been a master of ceremonies at Success Resources events, the world's largest seminar company. How did I do it? Well, the first thing is I ask, but secondly, I have a certain style, and I can teach you how to do that. And first, if you do it for free, people kind of try you out, then you get paid, and then it's great because you get exposure, visibility, and reach that you normally wouldn't get. So yes, there is a 6th stage besides the 5 I just showed you. Remember, having your own event, you want to do that last. That's hard. And paying to play, I don't recommend you do that first. Get good at it. Giving a free talk, you can do that at your local chamber of commerce. That's still a stage, even though it's not elevated. Paid to speak, that's where you're getting paid to speak as a fee-paid speaker. That's not pay to play. And then speak to sell, where you're on stage and you're selling something, continuing education. And then, of course, the 6th stage, which we just covered, is the master of ceremonies, the MC. Now, what about common mistakes? What are the 3 common errors most speakers, and you may not consider yourself a speaker. I don't care. I think you are. You just may not think of yourself as one, but you are one. If you speak to your spouse, if you have one, your ex-spouse, if you have one of those, if you speak to your kids, if you speak to your pet, if you speak to your employees, if you speak to your customers, if you speak to yourself, you're a speaker. You're just not doing it for the same reason to grow your business. Speaking is the fastest, easiest, and most reliable way to grow your business. And I know you may have a bias towards speaking. I may be confirming your bias. That's called confirmation bias, where you have a certain leaning towards what speaking is because you have a vision of it. I guarantee you don't know what speaking is. There's so many different types of speaking. You only may know the very polished type of speaking that's up there. You may know the Zig Ziglars of the world, or people I've mentioned, Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, all the Nightingale Conant speakers, Jay Abraham, Dr. Joe Vitale. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Joel Weldon, many, many, many different speakers, right? But you may not know how to grow your business through speaking because you got to do it anyway. You probably do it through webinars and Facebook Lives and, you know, other types of virtual events, which is another type of stage, the digital stage, And I'm talking about the physical stage. So what are 3 common errors most speakers make? All right, well, here's the number one. They don't speak as a growth strategy. They don't. They speak as an episodic opportunity. That's called an episode, an episodic opportunity to get known, but not as a growth strategy to cultivate and build their list by getting mobile numbers or email addresses or getting physical addresses through cards that people fill in. They don't do that. They don't cultivate it as a growth strategy with their competitors. Yes, competitors. If you're part of a trade association and maybe you're not on that board of trade association people, you can pay to speak on one of the breakout rooms at the next trade association meeting, and you could make it a big hit if you prepared properly and preparing for the speech. Preparing for the speech is the easiest part. Getting on stage is much more difficult, and if you don't speak as a growth strategy, then you don't see yourself as the type of person to get on. I'm not talking about to be like a speaker. I'm talking about being of a speaker. My friend and my mentor, quite frankly, Dr. Robert Cialdini out of Arizona, he has a book called Pre-Suasion. I happen to think it was going to be called Moments of Power about 15 years ago. He talked about a book, Moments of Power, and then Pre-Suasion came out not long ago, and I think it may be the same book, maybe not, but there are these privileged moments that a speaker has, and it's really the antecedent. It's the opening that you have to make an introduction that the audience or the person you're speaking to gives you permission to open up and make something else possible, to seed it. And we call that a persuasive moment. Persuasive, and then the suasion is the convincing part. Well, that's called a privileged moment. And if you don't take advantage of that moment and you don't recognize it, then you won't be seeing yourself as a speaker and you won't get on stage. But if you don't use it, if you don't use the speaking, not industry, I don't think there's a speaking industry, people call that, but what I prefer to call it is speaking opportunities. And what Dr. Cialdini talks about is when you are speaking, there are these privileged moments, these moments of power, where you can persuade people and seed them into buying something from you or speaking again. And if you go to a trade association where you have all these competitors there, you have these persuasive moments. Now look the book up. It's available on Kindle. It's available in physical form. Persuasion. If you're a speaker, it's a must. It's a must buy. Lots of great stories there. He tells of his own as well. And then another big mistake people make is they don't aspire for more than one stage. That's the mistake I made. Yours truly, Alex Mondosian. I only would get on the Speak to Sell stage, and then this 6th stage, which I can teach you if you decide to come on board with Pat Vargas's offer that you can see on this. I'm going to give you the access to it, but it's called the 1 Hour Launch, which I actually named it with him at an event. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I think people need to learn how to become an MC. So I did MC work and I did Speak to Sell. MC is Speak to Sell. Speak to Sell is more lucrative. I haven't made $1 million from a stage before, but I've made over 400,000. I know people who have made 3 million. In fact, he used to be one of my students. Now he's my teacher. Russell Brunson made $3.5 million from a stage, one stage. That was a perfect storm. It was with another colleague, and there was a lot of people there. But imagine making 50,000. Imagine making 10,000. What if you made, just for the day, you were in front of hundreds of people and you made $5,000 for the day? Wouldn't that be cool? Well, you can do that with all expenses paid. That's called being an MC. And then speaking of MC, the third mistake is not aiming for the 6th stage. Even if you're a speaker and you really dominate one area, I don't know if that's you or not, but you could be, it's not beneath you to be a master of ceremonies in another industry. And many people see it, but not beneath them. There's something about the stage that is very comforting to the ego, and it massages the ego, and the ego gets in the way. Be an MC for another niche, which I do. You know, I can't get any higher in some senses in the industry I am in digital marketing. I mean, I know the top people. I'm respected by the top people. I'm blessed for that to happen. I've had some ups and downs with success and failure, like anybody has, but I've been around for a long time, since 1995. You know, before Google, BG, and so that's my digital marketing area. But in personal development, with authors and speakers, that hasn't been my area. So now when I'm doing some Master of Ceremonies work, because as I write my book, I haven't written a book other than Alexisms, which is things to say on stage, 140 useful lessons of a recovering serial entrepreneur. If you can look it up on Amazon, I think it's still available for 99 cents as Kindle. It's called Alexisms, my name, and then add isms. And it's not anything dealing with addiction, like, you know, isms. It deals with how to present yourself and little clever sayings that you can borrow and steal and use on stage. It's a nice little bonus for you to have. And the reason I wrote the book is because people were using my isms that I'd made up, and I couldn't own them anymore. Then I looked at like the imposter if I went on stage after a student of mine or a colleague who started to, you know, use what my sayings were, you know, because I hadn't really owned them and taken ownership. So I put them all in one book, and that way I'll tell people you can steal them from me, but know where it came from, right? I'll give you an example. You can't see the label from inside the jar. Okay, been doing that 25 years, been saying that. Or the only thing worse than going in the wrong direction is going in the wrong direction enthusiastically. Or the early bird gets the worm, but it's the second mouse that gets the cheese. Or sloppy success is better than perfect mediocrity. Or you don't need a parachute to skydive. You just need a parachute to skydive more than once. They go on and on and on. That's called Alexisms. Well, I'm going to write another book. And with that other book, that's going to be more of a real type of book where people can sit down and really learn from it and, you know, dog ear it and put little tabs and stuff. This is how I read a book. It's my good friend Jason Fladian. Okay, I consume a book. This is called a slow read book. I'm reading another book with the company I hired, and he's the CEO, Vinny Fisher, and it's called The CEO Mindset. Now, I'm just starting it, so, you know, I've been going airport to airport, and I'm highlighting, but it's going to have the, I'll show you in a moment. It's going to have the tabs. I'm about to, you know, put all the tabs in, you know, to slow read the book. And why am I doing that? Because I want to get on stages that those gentlemen are on, because they get on stages I'm not on. And so I want to learn about what their mission is by reading their book, and then reach out and then ask them for their assistance to get on certain stages in MC, right? So I want to be on the 6th stage in MC, and I don't make people look bad. You know, I edify them like I do with Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Agora Publishing, Success Resources, and a lot of other people I've done that for, okay? Now, the 6th stage, so you're perfectly clear, is being an MC or the host. I like to call it the energy manager. My partner and the general manager of my company with Marketing Online, Sandra Bravo, she does this in Australia a lot. She gets to meet Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, when he comes down there. She gets to meet Robert Kiyosaki and his wife. She gets to meet a lot of people by emceeing, and she's really, really good at it. High energy. She brings a female flavor to the stage. And you don't have to be someone who's polished, although she is. You just have to be enthusiastic and support the other speakers, because they're, even if they've done it a lot, they're nervous. Sometimes they don't want to be there. They've been traveling. So you have to be part entertainer, part friend, and part energy manager. Now, let me end with 4 tips to get a standing ovation every stage you get, whether that's being the MC or whether that's being the main speaker, okay, in any of the stages. So here's one way. I mean literally a standing ovation. It feels good to get one. So you have a movie introduction. And with the movie introduction, you request at the very end, it says, please stand up and give a round of applause for Alex Mondosian. Well, you didn't ask for it. The movie asked for it, and you're getting a standing ovation when you come on stage. Does that increase your energy? Yes, it does. So I've done movies like that with Jack Canfield. I've done them for myself. And it's a very powerful way to get a standing ovation before you begin. Quite literally, ask the MC or the host to ask the audience to give you a standing ovation. A standing ovation is exercise. They're standing up and they're clapping, right? It's not a big deal with the audience. A standing ovation is easier than having the audience respond to what you're saying, right? So if you do the suggestology call response method, which I learned through learning accelerated learning methods, right? Then if I say, I want you to repeat this word, please. It's called movement. What's the word? And they say movement. That's more difficult for an audience. They will have a tendency to roll their eyes if they don't want to engage with you more than a standing ovation. So ask the MC to give you one. Next, conduct a standing exercise and then ask them to give themselves a round of applause and then pretend like it's for you. Now, these may seem like tricks, but these are techniques I'm giving you. So when you get on stage, you do this. So if they're standing, you go, please stand up because they've been sitting for a while. And you have them do a dyad side by side, or maybe they're standing and they're sharing. And they say, okay, give yourselves a round of applause while you're standing, and then just pretend it's like for you. That's how you get a standing ovation. And then finally, this is the one I use most often. Just learn to inspire, influence your audiences so that they give you a standing ovation. I get an ovation as an MC without even asking for one because they appreciate the energy. They appreciate the humility. You can't steal thunder from the main speakers when you're the guide from the side or the sixth stage host, an MC. Now, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this for a dear friend of mine, Pete Vargas, who's going to teach me. It's a $10,000 training I'm taking from him. That's not what I'm asking from you. Yours is 1/5 the investment if you decide to go all the way. But he has some video tutorials and trainings for you. They're about 30 minutes each, and you will learn from them. And even if you don't take him up on his offer, which is called the 1 hour launch, which I want you to do, you will learn a lot. Now, if you do take him up on his offer, and I don't know when you're watching this, it may be too late or you may be on time, but if you do take him up on his offer, I will, after 30 days when the guaranteed refund period is over, I will give you a clinic, a free training, and it's 4 different modules. And I'm wanting to create a product out of it. It's how to become an MC. It's very powerful. I haven't created it yet, but I can't wait to. And that'll be yours as a bonus. And I don't know what I'll sell it for, probably $1,000. Now, in order to get involved with Pete, and it is someone else, but you'll see, he's much smarter than I am when it comes to speaking. If you live in North America and you have that mobile phone, then grab it right now. Advance Your Reach is what AYR is. You text AYR to this number, which is 415-980-3555. So make sure you don't put the text code and the number in the same space. Like you're texting a message to someone, in the text area, you put AYR. I want to make it nice and easy. Advance Your Reach. That's what it stands for. And then where you have to put the phone number, if it's not already in your contacts, because it's not, then you're going to type in the phone number, and that's 415-980-3555, okay? And you'll get a message instantly, and that's if you're in North America. If you're outside of North America, which is the majority of the folks who watch, probably you if you're watching now, then you simply go to Marketing Online, make sure that you spell it correctly, marketingonline.com/stage guide. marketingonline.com/stage guide. Make sure you put that / there, and you will get a stage guide of how to get on more stages. We talked about the big 5 stages here, and I'm glad that you were with me, right? Because remember, whether it's your own event or you pay to play or you give a free talk or you get paid to speak, there are big money stages. A stage is the fastest way to grow your business, and the 5 types of big money stages we covered today. All right, go back and watch the replay, or go back and read if you're reading through this, or listen if you're listening through this. This is repurposed in many, many different ways. I think you know what a stage is, and I think you know if a stage is right for you. What matters now is for you to go to the next stage of this training and go to marketingonline.com/stage guide and get the guide that Pete Vargas has prepared for you. I'm Alex Mondosian. I hope our paths cross again, either when I'm on stage, when you're on stage, or on the virtual stage like I'm on every single Friday, 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. East Coast time on Facebook Live. It's called Facebook Fridays with Alex. All right, see you soon.